Good rising, good morning, happy spring. Hi, this is Iadania. I'm a spiritual awakening doula for the African American diaspora. And as I gear up for my new course, I'm doing a series of videos related to my journey with African tradition. And this one is about why I ended up in an Ile that was more traditional Ifa and not Lakumi. Now, I could have easily ended up in an Ile that was Lakumi Santeria, because that's what's here in my city. So I'm in Georgia, but I'm not in Atlanta. We don't have this very large outward population of African traditional practitioners like that. You might run into somebody here and there, but it's not like it is in Atlanta. I do live very close to an African village. I live close to Oyotunji. But I didn't discover it until after I discovered my yellow day. So, when I was learning and studying about, Ifa traditions and the various children on the Ifa tree, if you will, Ifa being the actual African traditional religion and the others being the derived religions from Ifa. And so I was just looking and trying to see, what I wanted to do if I wanted to initiate at all. Initially, I had no desire to initiate, let alone be a priest. Like, it just was not on my mind. I just simply wanted to learn and learn more and see why I was drawn to the tradition overall. So, in learning and studying and paying attention and following various content creators, I've learned some of the various differences between the traditions. So, if somebody was to come to me and say, "Hey, who is your head Orisha?" My Ori, that's my head Orisha. And there is not a competition for who's in charge. There is only who has the right medicine for the moment that I need. I am also currently crowned both Yemoja and Shango, though that will soon change. So, various differences and nuances, the fact that I was able to crown and become a priest, all these things are not things. I have multiple Orisha, I will have more Orisha. All of these things are not in that tradition. But why do I feel like it happened that way? I also ended up in an Ile that was nothing but womb holders, which was a very, very strong, powerful statement. So how did that come about? Why do I feel like that was that way? One is I was already on a journey of self discovery. Initiation is not to help you discover yourself, initiation is to complement the work that you should already be doing. And so I had already been doing the work, ancestor veneration, honoring my Ori, even before, I was doing that not because I wanted to initiate, I just felt like this was the right thing for me to do. I was doing self-love work. I was discovering myself. I was all in my birth chart, all in my numerology chart, trying to learn more about me. And the more I learned about me, the more I fell in love with me. So by the time I met my Ialode and actually received a divination from her, which was also a gift, this was not a divination that I got on my own. Somebody blessed me with this. Even my very first Ifa, I didn't know it was going to be an Ifa divination that I ever received. He was running a really crazy sale, and it was like I got Ifa divination and a numerology reading all together. And that just gave me a beautiful vision of where I was and who I was. So when I meet my Ialode, one of the things that came up in my divination is like, you are already living Ifa. Like, you're literally already doing it. Like, initiation would just be like, it's like okay, yeah, this is what's coming. It's like being in a relationship with somebody, you've been with them for like forever. You already consider each other husband and wife. You just have never had the ceremony. So that's the best way I can describe that. And so when she does the divination and it comes up yes for initiation and yes for a priest, I was like, oh. And I realized that I had learned more about Lakumi Santeria than I did traditional Ifa. So the priest thing, though my Ori and my intuition confirmed, yes, this is accurate, this is in alignment, I was still a little bit bumfuzzled, as my mom would say, because I was like, yo, I thought women could not be priests anymore. And then I do the research, and like that is not, that's only the case in specific traditions. And I'm like, okay, all right, then cool. What's beautiful is that I was listening to a young woman talk about Yemoja. And not a lot of people talk about Yemoja in the sense of her intellect and her desire for learning. And so this young woman was talking about the thirst for knowledge and wanting to learn more, but she was honest in that in the tradition she's in, there was a slight frustration because there are certain things she can't learn solely because she's a woman. Me on my journey, I am specifically on a journey from one, bring about a merging, a blending of sacred union, the divine feminine to divine masculine. I've been on a journey of enhancing and elevating my connection with my divine feminine energy. So it's important for me to be in a position where my elder and the group that I was with could support my destiny and how that was going to unfold. And then I needed to be able to honor the way that I saw feminine energy, which was limitless, and there was not anything that we could not do and be a part of. So I needed to be in a tradition where I could grow, expand, and in the way that I would inherently feel like was right. I know me, and just in a general sense, I'm very driven. And even though at the time I did not have this thing like I'm going to initiate and become a priest, the idea would never sit well with me that that was not an option for me to have. So when I look at the traditions, what I see is whose tradition has the right medicine for that person. There's somebody whose content I thoroughly enjoy. She is crowned in both. She's crowned both in Lukumi Santeria. That's where she started, but she eventually went and became initiated and became a priestess in traditional Ifa. So I think she says like there are things that she loves about both, and there is no competition. And I think that's important to indicate. There is no which one is better. It is which one is right for you. So for those that would come to me, they would come to me in a way that they were looking for something that was closer to what traditional Ifa might look like in Nigeria, but it would still be nuanced differently because I'm not in Nigeria, I'm in the diaspora. So there's still going to be things, diasporic things that are nuanced in the tradition with me. But there is not this better. Ifa is this loving, nurturing mother, the Odu. The Odu not only is the word, but it's also the womb. So there's this nurturing that new things are always going to be birthed. The Odu is constantly evolving and growing as its children grow. And so each tradition has its own brand of medicine for its initiates. And this is why you start with the self. This is why even with my own course, there's going to be layers of Ifa in there, but ultimately you're starting with you. We won't even get to the ancestors for at least 6 months because you got to start with you. You got to start with you. Then you start tapping into your ancestors, and there's going to be 3 months of that. So by the time you are even remotely thinking, okay, I definitely want to have a traditional African practice, you'll know, do you want to initiate or not? And if you want to initiate, you'll have a better sense of whether or not how you want to initiate, what tradition you might want to initiate in, and be able to discern who and who is not right for you in terms of an elder. I'm fortunate in how my journey unfolded because I know a lot of people's doesn't unfold that way, where they're just searching and jumping, where I was finding me and to see what aligned best with me and attracting that to me. My spiritual godmother, like so many similarities in how our lives unfolded. And also don't get hung up on the age. My elder is not older than me. I am older than she is. Only thing that matters is your discernment to tell you, is this the right medicine for you? And the way my journey unfolded, it was exactly the right medicine for me. You have questions about initiation into Ifa specifically, if you're just looking for a way to journey with a group of people where you don't have to do this alone, my Practically Spiritual Journey with Ifa is going to be beginning in May. The doors are open now. Link is in my link tree if you want to go sign up. If you do the waiting list link, there's a questionnaire that'll knock out all the questions I'm going to ask you anyway. Feel free to inbox me if you have any questions. Thank you for liking, following, and sharing.